Imagine you're a scientist, and millions of research dollars are on the line. You are testing two different medications for hives. You run your experiment. Medication A leaves 20 people out of 200 still showing symptoms. Medication B, though, it leaves only 12 people out of 200 with symptoms. On the surface, medication B looks like the clear winner, right? I mean, 12 is obviously less than 20.
But here is the real question we have to ask ourselves. Are these two drugs actually different in how effective they are, or is this 8% gap just random chance? By the end of this explainer, you'll understand exactly how to answer that question. We're going to dive into the concept of comparing two independent population proportions, the formulas behind it, and how you can confidently apply this to real-world data.
To solve this, we've got to set up a formal test. The foundational concept here is that we always start by playing the ultimate skeptic. We just assume there is absolutely no difference between the two populations. This is our null hypothesis, mathematically written as PA equals PB. In statistics, the burden of proof always lies on finding a difference. It's exactly like being innocent until proven guilty in a courtroom. We use our sample data to see if we have enough evidence to prove the alternative hypothesis, which is the claim that a real mathematical difference does in fact exist.
Now wait, this is super important. Before we even think about calculating anything, you must verify three specific conditions. First, the two samples have to be completely independent, simple random samples. Second, the number of successes and failures in both samples must be at least 5. And third, the overall population needs to be at least 10 to 20 times the size of your sample. Why? Well, if you oversample a population, your results are going to be skewed and entirely incorrect. We definitely don't want that.
So you might be wondering, since we have two entirely separate sample proportions, how on earth do we find a baseline to compare them against? Well, we calculate what's called a pooled proportion, or PC. Think of it like this. It's like mixing two different cups of coffee into one giant thermos to find the overall average temperature. Because our null hypothesis assumes the two populations are exactly the same, it makes total sense to just pool all our successes together. That's XA plus XB, and divide them by our total pooled sample sizes, NA plus NB. That gives us our combined baseline rate.
Once we have that baseline pooled proportion, we plug it right into our z-score test statistic formula. Okay, I know, this formula might look a little intimidating at first glance, but conceptually, it's really just mathematically measuring exactly how far apart our two sample proportions actually are, relative to our pooled baseline. It basically translates the difference between our two samples into a standard normal distribution, which lets us find a precise probability.
Let's make this a whole lot easier and bring back our hives medication example from earlier. We want to know if there's a real difference between medication A and medication B, and we're going to test this at a 1% level of significance. Because we are simply asking if there's a difference in any direction, we aren't specifically checking if one is greater or less than the other, we are dealing with a two-tailed test.
So first, we calculate our pooled proportion by combining our 20 and 12 remaining cases over our combined sample size of 400. Then we plug those individual sample proportions into our z-score test statistic. When we run that data through the formula and look at the normal distribution, we generate our p-value. This p-value tells us the exact probability of seeing this 8% gap purely by random chance if the drugs were actually identical. And here, that value comes out to 0.1404, or about 14%.
Now comes the moment of truth. We compare our p-value to our alpha, which is our level of significance. Because our p-value of 0.1404 is way greater than our 0.01 level of significance, we do not reject the null hypothesis. So, what does this mean in plain English? It means that statistically, there's just not enough evidence to say the drugs perform differently. Remember that 8% gap we saw at the start? It turns out it's highly likely it was just random chance, not a superior drug.
Let's connect this to another real-world scenario. Imagine you're advising highway safety policy, and a researcher wants to know if the proportion of women not wearing seatbelts is actually less than the proportion of men not wearing seatbelts. They survey a random sample of U.S. adults. Out of 2,231 men surveyed, 183 do not wear seatbelts. Out of 2,169 women surveyed, 156 do not wear seatbelts.
Okay, quick question to test your memory from a few minutes ago. Based on the specific wording of this problem, what kind of test do we need to set up here? Are we doing a one-tailed or a two-tailed test? Take a second. Think about what the researcher is actually trying to prove.
Exactly. Because the researcher is specifically asking if the women's proportion is less than the men's proportion. We're setting up a left-tailed test. We aren't just looking for any random difference. We're looking for a difference in one very specific lower direction.
So we calculate our pooled proportion, find our z-score, and map it onto our normal distribution. Running all this data through our formula yields a p-value of 0.1045. We're testing this at a 1% level of significance, so an alpha of 0.01. Since 0.1045 is greater than 0.01, once again, we do not reject the null hypothesis. We just don't have sufficient evidence to support the claim that fewer women skip wearing seatbelts compared to men. From a policy standpoint, any new safety campaigns really shouldn't single out one gender based on this specific data.
Now, calculating the pooled proportion and crunching the full z-score formula by hand is fantastic for truly understanding the mechanics of the math. But let's be honest for a second. What if you're taking an exam, the clock is ticking down, and you need to solve this way faster?
Well, if you have a TI-83 or 84 calculator, you can just let the hardware do the heavy lifting. You just press Stat, arrow over to Tests, and select option 6, which is the 2-prop z-test. From there, you literally just punch in your successes, your x values, and your sample sizes, your n values. Select your tail direction based on your alternative hypotheses, hit Calculate, and boom, you have your p-value and test statistic right there. Just a quick warning though, be super careful to punch in your x and n values in the correct order, or your handy shortcut will lead to a very wrong answer.
Let's go ahead and use that calculator shortcut on our final problem for this explainer. A marketing firm is claiming that a greater proportion of younger adults own electric vehicles compared to older adults. In a random sample, 10% of 1,343 young adults own an EV. Meanwhile, only 5% of 232 older adults own one. We're going to test this at a 5% level of significance.
First things first, let's identify our tail. Because the marketing firm is arguing that the younger proportion is greater than the older proportion, we're now dealing with a right-tailed test. Our alternative hypothesis is looking specifically for a positive difference.
All right, so we plug our young adult data into X1 and N1, our older adult data into X2 and N2, select the greater than option, and hit Calculate. The calculator instantly spits out a tiny p-value of 0.0077. That means there is less than a 1% chance we'd see this EV ownership gap randomly if the two age groups actually had the exact same ownership rates.
Now we compare. Our alpha is 0.05. Our p-value is 0.0077. Since 0.0077 is significantly less than 0.05, we finally get to reject the null hypothesis. The data strongly supports the marketing firm's alternative hypothesis. A statistically larger proportion of younger adults do indeed own electric vehicles compared to older adults. The firm can now confidently target their ad spending toward that younger demographic.
Before we wrap up, let's quickly summarize the critical steps we've covered today for testing two independent population proportions. Always verify your sample conditions first to ensure accurate data. Set your null and alternative hypotheses. Read the wording carefully to figure out if you need a left, right, or two-tailed test. Calculate your pooled proportion to get your baseline. And finally, compare your calculated p-value right to your alpha level.
And you know, if you take absolutely nothing else away from this explainer, just remember this rhyming golden rule of hypothesis testing. If the p-value is low, the null must go. You reject it. If it's high, the null flies, meaning you fail to reject it. It's that simple.
Now, we've only covered completely independent, separate groups today. Things like medication A versus medication B, or men versus women. But what happens if you aren't testing two different groups? Like, what if you're testing the exact same group of patients before and after a specific medical treatment to see if their personal condition improved?
While you can't use the independent pooled formulas we just learned, that scenario requires an entirely different, incredibly powerful statistical tool known as matched or paired testing. And that is exactly